Okay, kids, so here's the deal. Yesterday, sorry, let me calm down. Deep breaths. Yesterday was an absolutely beautiful ride. There was some stuff that I wanted to talk about. We did talk about a lot of it. Of course, I got the sun right up my butt. But just like right now, I was having a lot of diarrhea of the tongue and constipation of the brain. I couldn't really get out the message that I wanted to get out. So I tried a couple of new things, a little bit more air sealant for the helmet, see if we can get some more of the wind out of it. I do realize how annoying it is, but all I want to do is I want to get through some stuff. And I may just edit this part out, I don't know. But what we're going to start with today is, you can see the sun is behind me, it's evening, and we're in traffic. It's not heavy traffic, and that's exactly what I want. We need to talk about the relationship between cars, trucks, and motorcycles. So we're going to cover some pretty basic stuff that everybody ought to know, and then we're going to cover a little bit and we're going to do it as quick as we can, because I saw the edits from yesterday's 2 hours of footage. None of it worked, so we're doing it all over. First thing is, we're coming up behind a semi. And we're going to talk about the relationship between motorcycles and trucks right now, but we're going to throw some car stuff in here too, because they can mess up the works for everybody. When I get right about here behind this semi in front of me, which is a Class 8, 80,000 pounds, used to drive them, used to train people how to do it, all that good stuff, this driver cannot see me. He cannot see my motorcycle, and I know that because I cannot see his mirrors. So he cannot see me up there. Now, what he might be able to see, and you probably can't see a whole lot of it, but the shadow of the bike, he might be able to see that when it pokes out. But for the most part, he has no idea that I'm back here. This time of day especially, we got a couple of trillion candle power watt bulb, behind me. So he doesn't even see this. This headlight does nothing, this little incandescent bulb. So right now, I'm a little bit close because I wanted to show that. So, and if you look at how many seconds I am behind, 1001, 1000, I barely have 2 seconds. That's too close. If something comes out, we're in trouble. So he should be moving over because of this ramp. We're going to clear our blind spot, move it on over. Got the LEOs coming out, doing a little business. So he's not moving over. Now, there's a lot of reasons why he might not do that. Don't do it. See what I did there? I was right in their blind spot when they came down that ramp because I was making room for this truck if he wanted to get over. That's why. So he decided he wasn't going to get over. A lot of truckers are taught that the right lane is the path of least resistance, so just stay in it. The problem is you got people coming on and off exit ramps. Now, I already hear the argument, so just shut up. Let me clear it up for you. You are not required under any law, with the except there's a couple of places that have a right to merge lane or right to merge law. But for the most part, the guy that's in traffic is not required to make a room for you to come on that on-ramp and merge into traffic. He's not required. But one of those things is one of the reasons why we don't pass on the right. We're going to come back to that. Let's just talk about the exit ramps right now. There are hazards on the side of this road right now. That thing is a hazard. That driver in that truck has no idea what's in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get back over in the right lane, see if this guy behind me wants to go around. Now the speed limit through here is 65. I could go well above that. I'm not blending into traffic. I hear people say, well, when you do the speed of the traffic around you, you blend in. No, you don't. I mean, okay, so what if you do? That's not an excuse to speed. You don't. But now we're in behind this truck. We're pretty close to our 2-second mark, and we're getting a lot of buffeting. So the buffeting is the turbulent air that's coming around that semi. It's pushing a lot of air, and it's smacking me right in the windshield, right in the helmet. Now the windshield doesn't bother me too much. You can probably see the bike swaying, but it's not too bad because I have a full fixed fairing. It's fixed to the frame. So let's go ahead and jump out here, clear it. Good. And then when we get up next to this truck, we don't want to dilly-dally. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to put myself to the right. Now, he definitely knows I'm back here. I can see him grinning in his mirror. He's glancing back every now and then. He sees me. So he knows he can't go anywhere if he has to maneuver because he's going to run me over. So I don't want to dilly-dally. I put myself as close as I feel comfortable to. And one of the reasons I don't want to dilly-dally is because every one of those tires back there on that semi have about 100 PSI in them. And you think, well, So what? Well, so what? When they change those things in a semi shop, where they actually work on fleet equipment, they put those things in a big old cage. And that cage is there so that they're supposed to put them in a cage, so that if that tire explodes and it happens, that you don't get hurt, or at least it limits your injuries. And I have seen guys that have been hit by them on the side of the road, the mobile trucks, not using the cage that's in the back of their truck to pump up the tire. I've seen it happen, so it becomes a problem. So there's a whole lot of dangers and issues that are associated with trucks, and the one that we're going to talk about, I don't know if we're going to get to it in this video because I'm watching the minute marks right now, but one of those issues is passing on the right. Again, we're going to get to it. It may or may not be illegal. It's never a good idea, so we'll get back to that. As far as the traffic goes, some of this stuff is really, really common, and the common stuff is following distance, it's speed, it's paying attention to what's going on in front of you. Now, I'm not a slow speed teach you here guy. I'm not a fast speed teach you here guy. I'm trying to keep from body bags getting full guy. That's it. So I know a lot about trucks. I spent 2.5 million miles in them over 20 years. I don't drive anymore. I didn't like it. I never cared for it. And the minute that I knew I could walk away and never look back again, I did. And I no longer even have a CDL, but I carried one for 20 years. So I'm not just talking out of my butt. I drove 6 days a week sometimes for the better part of 20 years. And I trained people, and I served as a check ride driver at more than one place. So I'm the reason some of these guys didn't get a job at a company. So I'm not on the side of the trucks. As a matter of fact, when it comes to truck drivers, a lot of them don't like me at all, because I will call the BS real quick. Same as motorcycles. And I really hope that's all in the same thing. Anyway, so we're moving on. So the lane placement right now it's not as good of a time as it was yesterday. Yesterday, the sun was a little bit. I had to work today, so I'm running a little bit behind. The sun being directly behind me is not a problem so much for me, but for the vehicles coming up behind me, it's hitting my tail light assembly, and I don't really care how bright your lights are. In most cases, you get that when the sun is directly reflecting off of them. The traffic coming up behind you is going to have a hard time seeing it if you hit an indicator. So what do we got to do? We can't, if we pull out and we get smacked because we didn't clear our lane, we can blame it on the vehicle that hit us. Hey, that was my lane. I signaled. I didn't know. Well, we got to do what we blame the cagers for doing. We got to use our mirror. So I'm going to look at my mirror, do it again, hit my blinker 3 seconds, and I'm going to turn my head, check my traffic, and then I'm going to move over. I didn't take all day doing it, and I want you to remember that, because that's what we're going to talk about, passing on the right. So we made sure that we cleared our rear end before we did anything. And I know that the air is not that great right now, but notice my following distance. If you can see, I'm definitely more than 2 seconds away. I'm about 4 seconds, 1001, 1002, 1003, but there's 4, almost 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and tuck in over here. I'm gonna go ahead and tuck in over here. Now, I didn't really need to see to my right, because I knew I was passing that truck, and I've got the other mirror. This guy, he's in a hurry to get somewhere. I'm going to let him get there. It's his lane. I'm going to let him take it. And then once I'm ready to get back out in that left lane again, I will. So I actually slowed down just a little bit, but I want to caution you, I was careful about how far I slowed down because of the truck behind me. There's some equipment some of these trucks carry you may or may not be privy to, but effectively what it's there for is to keep an inattentive or sleepy driver from rear-ending you. Some trucks have it, some trucks don't. You go ahead and Google it. They have different names, different systems. Way back in the day, something is dead up here, and it stinks. I'm going to have to edit that out. Way back in the day, I think it was Loran, I don't remember who made it. But they had definitely, we just cleared it again. I didn't need to go quite as far back over the shoulder, but I had cleared it because I was watching, and we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm moving over to the right just a little bit. I want him to see me, but I'm in the sun. The sun is behind me. He may have no idea I'm here. So I'm not going to dilly-dally. I'm going to go ahead and hit the throttle. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. I'm keeping it right in the middle, and then I'm going to get back over to the right. Just a hair. I'm not taking the right lane. I'm going to stay. There's nothing behind me. So I'm still passing because I'm going to pass the second truck. But I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stay over here to the right of the lane so that I am in his mirror. I'm giving him every opportunity. Does he have dangers? Yes. He's got an intersection. There's a sign right there. He's got stop traffic on each side, one coming to a stop, the other one not. If one of these guys pulls out, I'm going to have a bad day. Here come his lights, but he's not braking. They just turned on. I'm going to move over a little bit, and I'm going to give it a little bit more scooch. Because I don't want to spend all day right next to his rubber. Like I said, 100 PSI in those tires, and if they blow, I'm the one that's going to have a bad day. That driver has no control over it. It's just when it's time, it's time. And I've been right next to another truck when I'm blown. I had a guy on a motorcycle right next to my truck one day when one of the trailer tires blew on it. So scared the living bejesus out of it. Didn't hurt him, but it scared him, you know. He wobbled really bad. I pulled over, and he kind of pulled over in front of me and walked back. Said, asked me if I asked him if he was okay, because I didn't know, and he was fine. He just, said he saw sparks, and he was a truck driver too, so... Anyway, we both knew it could happen, and it surely did. So nobody got hurt, but people have been hurt by flying. Motorcyclists especially have been hurt by flying tire debris during a blowout. So we want to stay away from it if possible. Now, I'm not a big enough jerk. I slowed down a little bit, but I'm still out in the left lane. I want you to see the picture of this truck in my mirror. You see him? So I'm walking away from him a little bit, and I want you to see what I do. I'm going to hold it right here, just at that speed. And then I'm going to flip my blinker over 3 times. I want 3. And I'm going to accelerate as I start to change lanes. I'm not going to keep the same speed. I'm accelerating. And then once I get over to the lane, I cancel my signal and I stop accelerating. I'm not accelerating anymore. I want to make sure that I'm not throwing off his radar system because some of those trucks are set up different ways. I had a Freightliner that when somebody would cut me off in traffic and pump the brake, that thing would disconnect the cruise control and throw the Jakes on stage 3. And you want to talk about slowing down in a hurry, you go from 70 to 50 pretty quick. So in some cases, yeah, you can really tick a truck driver off by just getting in front of them too close. We need to give them the distance. They need to, and I'll argue with the truckers later because I already know better, and they're not going to lose this argument, or they're not going to win this argument. I'll win it every time. They're supposed to have 3 to 4 seconds of following distance before they even think about trying to get back over that lane, and it's 4 seconds for a Class 8 minimum. Check local listings, but across most of the 50 states, 4 seconds you need before you can go ahead and start cutting over to get behind somebody or to get in front when you pass somebody. So if you cut in and you just barely cleared their bumper, they have to hit the brakes by law. I mean, they're not going to in a lot of cases. You've pretty much just effectively irritated the hell out of them because what you just showed is you don't understand physics or how trucks work. And that's why we're having this discussion. Those trucks, 18 wheels does not mean 18 brakes. And there's not 18 wheels on them anymore. Most of them are running super singles. So you've got 6 on the tractor. There's 2 steers, 2 on the front axle of the tractor, and 2 on the rear axle of the tractor. So by my math, which isn't real great, that's 6. And then you've got 2 on the right side and 2 on the left side. And this is if it's running super singles again, different strokes for different folks. So there's another 2, 4, that's 4, so 6 and 4 is 10. So we went from 18 wheels to 10 wheels. And we did that to save weight so we can haul more freight and use less fuel. And one of the things that has happened because of that is now you get a flat tire and it's gonna be a little more tricky to get it home. So what else do we want to talk about in regards to the traffic? Well, the traffic, this is a really good area, and I know we're losing light, so I got to start to wrap it up. Basically, right now, I'm doing the speed limit, but I'm staying in this right lane. I'm keeping my placement over to the left. The reason I'm keeping my placement over to the left is because I want to be able to see deer coming out of the woods. I want to be able to see what this truck and this vehicle in the other lane is going to do. I'm keeping at least 4 seconds behind the vehicle in front of me, and the later it gets and the darker it gets, the more I'm going to increase that following distance. Now, I don't expect everybody and their brother to drive like me. What I do expect is that when you are riding somebody's ass and something happens, And you say, well, I didn't have time to swerve. What you mean by that is you didn't leave yourself enough time to maneuver. That's what you meant to say. It's not what you said. That guy that said I had to lay her down, no, nobody's ever had to lay her down in the history of laying anything down. They ran themselves out of options. This is where you get your options. I don't care if you're a street Rossi. I don't care how far you can lead it into a turn, how much you can accelerate off the gun. I don't care about any of that. I care about your maneuvering and your brain. Your brain is what's going to keep you out of trouble. So start using it. That's kind of my point with this whole thing. The whole reason for this channel is to get you to, well, it's to share what I'm doing, whether people like it or not. That's fine. Uh-oh. I just lost something. So we didn't panic stop. Now, this is how you're supposed to do it, according to the people that know. We're going to make a pretty abrupt change. Get over here, get our gears going, and I'm going to throw those four-ways on until I get up to speed. And now I'm up to speed. So, anybody behind me would have said, hey, I see four-way flashies. Hopefully, they would have saw that. Right? So, basically what I'm saying is we did everything right. I don't remember what I was talking about, but that's a pretty good example. Don't lose your head. If something weird happened, if it's different, dumb, or dangerous, slow down. And that's what we did. We slowed down a little bit. We got the blinker on, started moving over, decided we better check it out just to make sure. I was pretty sure I lost the camera. I may edit some of the audio in that because I'm not sure exactly what I said. And boy, I hope I wasn't cussing, because I know me. When dumb things happen, I can start cussing. I do it all the time. I've seen me do it. We got a truck coming on here, but we're not going to be a factor because we're going to be well ahead of him by the time he's coming over. We don't need to move over, but we certainly can. If we're on a motorcycle, we're on the most maneuverable thing on the road. Now, the way some guys ride them, you would think that they weren't, but yeah, we're actually on a pretty mobile piece of equipment maneuver-wise. It should do a lot more than what a car or a truck will. So, we're going to be taking an exit ramp up here soon, and we're going to take the scenic route back, probably, and I'm probably going to kill the camera. So, I really wanted to get into the why we don't merge issue, but I'm not sure how we're going to be able to do that since the sun's gone away. I really wanted to get that in today. Look, deer, and they're not on the road. So I wanted to get that in there today. It's been bothering me all day while I was at work. Every time I had a minute to think for 5 seconds, I was like, I could mess that video up. So we're gonna give another crack at it, and we're probably gonna talk about it on that scenic route back, even if the lighting conditions are not all that great. So I hope you learned something about driving around trucks. You know, we need to make sure we're giving them a following distance. I'm kind of close right now because we're going to hit this exit ramp, but I'm still, if anything goes underneath that truck, I'll never see it until it's too late. I'll be riding over the top of it if I'm too close. So you got to back off and get them a little bit of room. One of those tires goes to gator, as they say. Fails, and a big strip of it comes off the outside of the tire. That's called gator. That's a gator, because you see them laying in the road, looks like an alligator. When one of those tires gators off of a truck like that, it's heavy and it's flopping all over the place, and it's going to do a lot of damage when you hit it, whether it smacks you airborne, which is really going to be bad, or whether when you drive over it. And depending on how you react, that could be bad too. So keep your skills up, boys. Use your but that is one of the big key points that I want to make is your skill level is going to help you deal with this stuff. And if your skill level is low, and that's not an insult, it's just saying, hey, your skill level's low. Don't panic. There was nobody there to signal to. If your skill level's low, you're not going to be able to deal with it as well. That's why you have to give them more space. You have to give it more time to react. And it's not a forever thing. The better you get, the faster you can go. But it's within reason. When we're getting around vehicles, man, we don't speed. These videos that you see, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole again because I start ranting about it, and we'll be here for another hour. until the battery dies on the camera. So just, don't drive like those guys. They're ridiculous. Their fan base is a bunch of 14-year-olds that have never ridden a motorcycle before. That's who they're driving like idiots for. Okay, so anyway, I hope you guys got something out of it, and I will see you in the next video.